Well, TikTok is facing a potential ban in the U.S. stemming from concerns of TikTok's link to China posing a possible national security threat. Just how much of a security threat is TikTok? By the way, in the opening comments here in the hearing, we get comments from Chair Kathy McMorris-Rogers, who says the facts show ByteDance and TikTok are one and the same. That is just one of the opening salvos here. But let's talk about the technology here. Safety concerns of private and sensitive user data surrounding social media companies. We have Feroot co-founder and CEO Ivan Sarny joining us now. Ivan, thank you so much for being here. You just put out a report which looks into tracking pixels. That is, you're on a website, you see a photo, or you click on the photo, it tracks kind of what you're doing, right? Or an email or what have you. Talk to us about tracking pixels linked to TikTok and how they're being used.
Yes, thanks for having me. And I thought you would ask that. So what are pixels? First of all, they are like mini spy balloons. Remember that giant spy balloon that was shot out of the sky by Air Force? So pixels are tiny pieces of code that follow us on every website that we visit. And we've set out in December to do a study to kind of set a baseline, how pervasive, how many pixels are there and how common they are. And that's what we found is actually was serendipitous discovery that TikTok and other pixels that are collecting user information and sending it to companies that are in the jurisdiction of China or directly to China are pretty common, especially on websites of government, state-level government websites.
Okay, but pixel tagging is not new. I mean, I remember working in marketing and advertising, and you would ask for creative to be pixel tagged before it went into an insertion order that you were running on any type of digital platform. And so the collection of the data has already been taking place in other forms. So why is there more scrutiny around how it's being used within TikTok?
Yes, thanks for asking it. Absolutely. So pixels are very, very common tools. They are very legitimate business tools because companies do need to attract customers. They need to grow, and they use it for marketing. They use it for analytics purposes. The concern that was identified was that pixels collect information that can be used for dual purposes, for business purposes, and also for spying, for example, for unintended purposes, to say at least. And what we have found in the research, which was also validated by Wall Street Journal, is that pixels do get access to information that we may not necessarily be even comfortable with showing them. For example, we found that health records, when you're booking an appointment, are being read and can be sent or are being sent to places where they shouldn't be being sent to or should not be used by. What was even alarming, we found that even some giant cybersecurity companies had pieces of code on their websites that was collecting information and was sending it either back to China or it was even loaded from China.
To Brad's point, yes, the concern is in particular what is happening with that data. I mean, Google uses these things, Microsoft uses these things, Facebook and Meta. Have the new tools that are put in place, tracking, you can make more choices about how much of your information is tracked. Has that curbed the use of these at all? Does that affect tracking pixels or no?
Thanks for asking again. It's again, pixels are legitimate business tools. One of the main concerns is pixels collect often information without any even organization.
I'm sorry, maybe I wasn't clear. Like, for example, when you have cookies and you can cookies, which are similar, right? You can now opt out of cookies. When you do that, are you also opting out of these other tracking tools, or they're not unaffected by that?
Yeah, great question. By the way, what we found is that all of the findings in the report are based on no consent, no people not clicking on accept or reject button. So all of the data collection happens even before you have a chance to opt out.
Okay, and so does any of this tracking, do you believe if there is legislation that will come forward? Because we were just hearing in a conversation from the representative from California, Obernolte, with our own Rochelle Akufo, who was saying that the larger goal here is legislation that will come forward that has more of an approach towards data protection policies. Does that have a larger ranging implication monetarily and revenue-wise for other companies that also have this practice embedded in their business model?
Yeah, my personal opinion, just what I believe is what people want to know is be rest assured that internet is safe to use. Mobile apps and web apps, websites are safe to use, and their information is not going to be compromised or is not going to be used for nefarious or dual purposes. So, and I do agree with the point that kind of to solve this problem or concern kind of once and for all, and first step is to ensure that the people who have access or making decisions who has access to the data or what's going to happen to it should be vetted, almost like if they work for Pentagon. And secondly, and finally, it's strengthening the rules, accountability, and even third-party validation for companies who collect information or who permit for that information to be collected so that there is accountability of what actually happens with the information.
Feroot CEO Ivan Sereny, thank you so much for joining us here this morning and really teeing up this conversation as we were continuing to keep a live shot up for our viewers of the hearing that has begun. Ivan, we appreciate the time today.